the channel like a young Ozzy Osbourne, we bark at the moon with NECA, the Howling Ultimate Edition.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another hairy bipedal creature unboxing, this time with the werewolf from the Howling. But for all your werewolf howling needs and everything else under the sun, hit up jaystoysandgames.com. Use discount code Kyle, save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. Got to get a deal out there, and that's exactly what I did. Jay's just got these hot off the truck, picked up 2 of these, saved 15%. Cheaper than retail, got to get a deal. You know how it goes by now. But I definitely had to get this when this was announced a while back. I knew I was all in. Hairy bipedal creature, horror, werewolf, NECA, playing all the hits, as one may say. And of course, we're going to do this review like we do all the other reviews on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. And as I said, The Howling is a favorite movie of mine. Actually, I should step that back a little bit. I like the first edition of The Howling. It's all right. It's a good movie. It's worth checking out if you've never seen it. But business picks up with The Howling 2. Your sister, the werewolf, or my sister's a werewolf. Semantics. But The Howling 2 is the way to get into there. Starring Christopher Lee and Sybil Danning out there. Oh my gosh, check out Sybil Danning. An all-timer if there ever was one. She's got 2 really great assets, and they are on display in that movie, and it is amazing. It's one of the greatest werewolf movies of all time. Everybody hates it, but it's so bad it's good. I absolutely love it. Christopher Lee steals the show in it. He even dresses up as like an 80s new wave guy or something. It's really weird for Christopher Lee. But check out Howling 2. You won't be disappointed. Chef's kiss right there. But the Howling 1, not bad for what it is either. And I love a werewolf. I love a hairy bipedal creature. So I'm very excited to get this one in here. However, this is a very expensive figure. Like, I don't know, 50, 60 bucks. What is time? 50 bucks, $49.99, I think is what this one is. Obviously, you got to save 15%, but a little bit confusing for me because most of the Ultimates are $34 to $36. I'm like, what the heck? Well, once I saw the packaging, I understood this is a much bigger figure. Now, not a ton of accessories with this one. We're going to dive into that, of course, but a big box, which means a big figure, as we do know. But let's dive into it. We got the art poster there from the movie, of course. This just reminds me of a little kid going to the VHS section of the movie store. You're walking by and you're seeing crazy VHS covers and your mind just goes wild. Like, what could be inside here? What could this movie be about? But looking really good. The Howling Ultimate Werewolf action figure. Imagine your worst fear a reality. There it is right there. NECA, the Howling on the side, the Howling on the other side. And then a big bad nationwide ZZ Top edition of the werewolf here. Looking very cool. Extra effect with the full moon in the background. You know it's a bad day at the office with the full moon, of course. And then typical NECA fashion, you got the Velcro. We got the window box right there. 3 heads for this werewolf. And then, of course, looking here, looking kind of like a deranged coyote on its back legs. He's got mange or something, or rabies maybe. Who knows? But definitely looking interesting, but not a ton going on inside the packaging here. So this should be a fairly quick unboxing. Not a ton of stuff to dive into, but we're going to do it. And we're going to do it for science. And oh my gosh, see you later, werewolf. This has a smell to it. There is a smell, let me tell you. Man, oh man, that is powerful smell from the factory. There it is in the plastic prison. Twist ties, because it's a werewolf at the end of the day. Looks like we also got a stand, which leads me to believe he probably doesn't stand so well on his own that you need the stand. I guess we'll dive into that here in a second, but a little bit of a flight stand for him. But I'm going to take this werewolf offline, and I'm going to take him off and get him out of the package. We'll be back talking all things The Howling. All right, we're back with the werewolf from The Howling, and first thing is we're going to start with the accessories. That's what we do around here, accessories first, and we're going to start with this flight stand here. So I guess you get 2 different lengths of a stand, choose your own adventure. The top part does come off. You got a little clamp there, clear base down below. It is a stand. I understand why they put this stand in here because this guy is going to be almost impossible to stand up on his own. Kind of wish they could have engineered it so he could because once again, this stand, it's awfully big, takes up some real estate if you're trying to tuck those figures in. might be a little bit hard to get there, but we'll see how well that stand works, I guess, in a bit. But let's start with the hands first here, and it's basically just a bunch of different open hands here. So choose your open hand adventure, I guess. Would have been nice to see those werewolf punches ready to go with some fists, some werewolf fist. Not in the cards, though. I think it's underutilized in the werewolf game. They should be throwing some punches in bunches every once in a while. But we do got hands here, of course. Very typical werewolf hands is what we'll call these. Depends, how do you like your fingers? Do you like the long, crazy fingers? Kind of like Ozzy had in Bark at the Moon video. Long, long fingers. Or do you like a little shorter, tighter fingers? And that's, so you got your options there as far as werewolves go. Out of the package, those ones a little bit more gnarled in. So not terribly different between the hands, but in true fashion and true honesty, whatever you want to call it, with werewolves, they're pretty much only like this most of the time. They're not sitting here walking like this, unfortunately. They should, but they don't. So choose your own hand adventure here. And I should say, I did pick up 2 of these werewolves. Got to have 2 in my collection. I was on the border of getting 3. I was almost going to do it, but I don't know if there's enough difference in the head sculpt. So we'll see how this review does. Maybe it convinces me to get a 3rd version of this werewolf. But let's start it with the one out of the package. Let's start with the head on this one. Like I said, a little bit like a coyote with like mange or something. I think it's those big ears up there. Obviously, werewolves should have ears, but maybe a little too pounty there. Pounty? How about pointy? Pointy, Todd McFarlane, or pounty? We'll go pointy. We can all agree it's pointy. But very pointy ears over there. Hair all over. Of course, it is a werewolf at the end of the day. Big, elongated mouth. Elongated mouth there. Got some beautiful teeth. Got the red in the mouth. Looking like trouble. This is a guy you don't want to meet out in the forest. We know that. You got the yellow eyes going on in there. And as I said, hair all over the place on this guy. He is a hairy bipedal creature after all. But interesting head sculpt with the fangs in the mouth all tightly together, ready to take on the world if need be. Now the second head here, very, very similar once again, but the mouth is open. You can see the big fangs. You can see that tongue back there. Looking extra dangerous. Looking like he's going to howl at the moon is what he looks like here. Definitely more scary looking on the head sculpt here. And I guess 3rd and final one, probably the scariest one because he just got done with his meal here. He's got blood all over his jaw, his fur, his teeth, and then he does have a movable jaw. Now, this is where things kind of fell apart for me. I wish both of these had a movable jaw. Only one of the 2 does. It's nice we get at least one option, but this is basically the exact same head sculpt. Why not put the same mechanism in both of them so we can have open, closed jaw, choose our own adventure here? Would have liked to seen something different there, but I'm glad we got one where we can move the jaw however we want it to. So if I'm only buying one of these, this is probably the head I would end up using. But now that I have 2 of them in my collection, I think I got to go closed mouth, and totally open mouth is probably with the blood on it. I don't know. Maybe I'll play the long game. Maybe I'll get a 3rd one down the road. But I wish there was a little bit more difference between these last 2 heads personally right here. But now let's dive into the rest of the figure. Once again, fur throughout, sculpted in fur. Can you imagine if it was a real fur werewolf figure? Oh, that would be too much to handle is what that would be. But it looks absolutely amazing. Fur all over the place, as you can see. Nice brown underside, a little bit grayer color, just like a dog or any kind of a wild animal. They usually have that. They're not the same color throughout. But besides that, it is this fur everywhere, but long and lanky for a werewolf. When I think of werewolves most of the time, do you think the American Werewolf in London, the big Kessler wolf? Do you think, of course, Michael Landon, a teenage werewolf, maybe? Do you think a good friend of the channel, Larry Talbot, of course, my dad's favorite, Todd McFarlane, as we do know. Do you think of that? What do you think of as a werewolf? Me personally, you know where I go for werewolf. I've told it before, the Fox show werewolf. When I was like 5 years old, I used to watch that on Fox. Absolutely amazing. I wish we could get figures from that werewolf show. Get me Skorzeny. Get me Skorzeny, a werewolf with an eye patch. Oh, it writes itself. It writes itself. But hair, fur all over the guy on this guy here. Of course, hands we talked about earlier there. He does got some big old feet down here. Got those gnarly nails right there. Somebody needs to get him and get a pedicure and I guess a manicure while we're at it. Looking extra rough down there though. Now, first thing I noticed too, looking at these legs, long and skinny legs here, but I do not like the articulation showing right here at the lower knee, I guess we'll call it. It does take you out of it a little bit. It is a little bit unsightly there. So that's definitely the worst part of the sculpt right here. But of course, it is a werewolf, so he's got all kinds of wild stuff. Like I said, there's no way this guy's standing up by himself. He's just too top heavy and too light on his feet. Too light on his feet right there is what's going on. Now, the head is removable, as we know, but you get the back and forth, up and down, side to side. You get the middle fur piece that can move around, plus the bottom fur piece that can move around. So you get a little bit of different range of motion, articulation there. You can have them going full up in the air, howling at the moon. Pretty cool to see that one there. Also, can we get dog soldier figures? I think we've had those. Have we had those in the past? I don't have them, but I felt like they made at least one dog soldier. But that's another underrated werewolf movie. That one's a really good one. Somebody check that out if you've never seen that. Arms do go all the way around for us here. Do get a bicep cut, of course. You got to do curls for the girls, even if you're a werewolf, as we know. Single jointed elbow. You do get side to side. Hands removable, back forth, side to side. Upper hula hoop. A lot of movement out of that one. I'm here for that. Legs, big old werewolf splits, of course known for their gymnast routines, as we know. Leg goes up, back and forth, side to side. Single jointed knee right here for some movement, and then you get a little bit of movement in the front as well. So like double knees, I guess. I guess that's what we'll call it. I don't know my anatomy of these animals. So then we got almost, I want to say calf, but it's ankle. I don't know what it is. We got another joint down here, and then we get a final joint down at the foot there. So no toe articulation with this one, but a lot of different movement pieces. You can get him just where you want him to be, but man, he is tall. He is lanky as far as werewolves do go, as you can easily tell right here. Now the stand, I don't know even sure how this stand even is supposed to work. I think it hugs his nuts right there, I guess is what that does. I guess so. Just hugs his nuts and he's ready to go. He's got them all cupped right in there. But there's no way you can do this figure without a stand. There's no holes on his feet either for a ringside stand or something else like that. So that's one of the big gripes with it, having to use a stand or else not being able to display him. Also not a huge fan of that lower articulation. It does look a little unsightly there. But besides that, we don't get a ton of werewolf figures. So you know I'm excited for some werewolves. And this is a nightmare fuel if there ever was one from the Howling. So that does work as far as things do go for me. So not a bad piece of business. However, that extra expense of the price point, not sure how well this one will sell because the Howling is a known movie. But when you talk about the greatest werewolf movies of all time, you get Silver Bullet in there possibly. I don't know if Howling is at the top of the list, and if it is at the top of the list, is there enough fans of the property that take the next step that want action figures of the property? That's the other thing we got to think of. Putting our business hats on, of course, but it does look pretty good. And I did bring the Kessler wolf here just in case. We got two different 80s werewolves is what we got going on. Definitely a far cry from the Larry Talbot days, as we know. But you could have a fig fed, you could have a horror fed, you can do whatever you want. Have these two running as a team. Who knows? Maybe the Howling Wolf riding the Kessler Wolf. You can do that if you want to. You could choose your own adventure. It is your action figure after all. But some cool werewolves from NECA here. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Get me the Christopher Lee from Howling 2. Get me Sybil Danning. Streba. You know what I mean from that movie. Give me that figure too while we're at it. We'll take that. Reuse some of that Elvira mold. We could get that done. But the Howling, not a bad piece of business here. Happy I bought two. Still on the fence for the third. I would like to play that long game, get even more of a discount. Maybe wait for a 25% off sale at Jay's. Maybe I'll do that. We'll see what ends up happening in the future. But if you're into a werewolf, you're into NECA, you probably want to pick this one up. But what say you guys and gals out there? Where do you fit in with the Howling movies? Are you like me that loves Howling 2? Are you a staunch supporter of Howling 1? Or do you like Howling 4, 5, 6, 7? Where it goes fully off the rails? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. We got videos every single day and then some. 2 YouTube channels to keep you busy. Same thing with Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. A lot of content over there. SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, TheKylePetersonShow at gmail.com. Strangely enough, the name of my podcast each and every Tuesday wherever podcasts are found. With videocast on YouTube, it is The Kyle Peterson Show. Check it out if you have not already. So for the Howling Werewolf, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.
Well, are we gonna dance or are we gonna play?